In Dominica, there is an extraordinary doctor. And all of our dogs join a call. Hey, this is Sai, and you're watching SAT TV. Big up SAT, big up SAT, big up SAT.
Whenever the iron play, I'll be there. Wherever the steel band play, I'll be there. Anytime it's carnival, yo, festival, bacchanal, behind the big truck, down the road, everybody, they know that I'll be there. Yo, this is Mr. Challenge. You're watching SAT TV, the people's choice.
Yo, this is Ace Banton in SAT building, baby. You're watching SAT Telecom, that's the #1 choice. Boom!
Good evening, I am your presenter, Deslin Joseph. Welcome to SAT TV News. Among the major developments, Dominica mourns death of Ferdinand Frampton. Grenada's Prime Minister sworn in holds emergency session. DLP retains government in Barbados general election. And in sports, Cube Cheese Barbershop Bafe State secure 5th victory. Details of these and other stories after the break.
SAT TV.
Drink your drink.
SAT TV.
SAT Telecom.
SAT TV.
Crossfire the bomb.
SAT TV.
Dominica the norm.
TV.
Yeah man, SAT TV, Crossfire.
The people's choice.
That's
for real.
right.
Welcome back. On September 10, 2012, the United Workers' Party held a public meeting in order to address their concerns regarding the nomination of a new president for Dominica. In that meeting, it was alleged that the government was not fair and did not provide evidence in regards to Dr. Liverpool's resignation. The most significantly asked question was, if we violate and ignore any of these provisions of the Constitution, how can we be certain that we will abide with the other provisions of the Constitution? Today, Friday, February 22nd, the UWP has received positive feedback from the court and the case will be moving forward.
Last year, the process of removal and installation of a president, we found it to be inconsistent with the Constitution, and as a responsible opposition, we took the matter before the court. The government side filed for application to strike out. It was heard on Monday, and the sitting judge, Justice Lionel Jones, gave his decision this morning, and he dismissed the application for strikeouts, and he ruled that the matter should go for trial. So we see it as a step in the right direction in the interest of the Constitution.
Mr. John stated that they do not have an issue with the holder of the office, but the process that was used for the removal of Dr. Liverpool and the installation of Honorable Eliud Williams. He added, although they have tried to stop and delay the process to ensure that the Constitution was respected, this did not happen. Mr. John mentioned some of the reasons why the court ruled in favor of the United Workers' Party.
First one is where there was this case consultation as contemplated by the Constitution. He raised concern about procedure under Section 19 of the Constitution for the election of a president be commenced in circumstances where a vacancy does not exist. He also raised concerns why the doctrine of necessity came into play. He need to seek clarification on that. And also, is the election of the president an internal parliamentary matter in which the court cannot interfere? So he wanted clarification on these 4 main areas, and that's why he ensured that the matter goes forward. And
the leader of the opposition is asking the public to use this matter as an example and to remember that the law is to be respected at all times.
We have to start the children in school. Obey your teachers. obey your principle, respect your classmates. And that is simple way of saying have respect for the law. And the Constitution is the supreme law, and we all should respect the law. Well, this matter is going before the court, and as I said, it will give both sides the opportunity to deliberate on the issues and how they see it. And at the end of the day, the court will give us a final decision about the procedure that should be followed when we are removing and installing a president.
Mr. John says both sides now have the opportunity to voice their opinions on the issue, and the court will have the final say on the procedure that should be followed. In more news, thinking is defined as the process of using one's mind to consider or reason about something. For example, the government have done some thinking about the welfare reform to ensure only those who need it will benefit. Thinking is important, otherwise we would just be mindless beings, and thinking is what makes us different from other animals. Also, with thinking we can avoid danger. Each year on February 22nd is celebrated as World Thinking Day, where girls honor their sister Girl Guides and Girl Scouts by taking time to give thanks for their international friendships and remember that Girl Scouts are part of a global community. Chief Commissioner of the Girl Guide Association of Dominica, Mrs. Agatha Elioy, says this is a very special day for them, as this day is also the birthday of the founder of the Girl Guides and Girl Scouts, Miss Agnes Baden-Powell.
So our girls throughout the country and throughout the world will be engaged in activities which brings out or showcase the various activities or the various issues that we could participate in to help to save children's lives and to promote maternal health. In Dominica, we are celebrating Thinking Day with a weekend of activities. We started today when all members would attend their workplace or their school in uniform, and this afternoon, every unit or park will have a small celebration to celebrate among themselves. Tomorrow, we will be celebrating also by raising funds.
There's also a World Thinking Day Fund, which is something that was implemented years ago by the Chief Guide, where each guide donates $1 to the Girl Guide Fund in order to raise $10 million, as there are 10 million guides worldwide. The cash is used to fund guide projects around the world while helping guides meet travel expenses for seminars and conferences. This year's theme is Together We Can Save Children's Lives, which gives girls a chance to take action on issues affecting children's lives worldwide. This theme is based on Millennium Development Goal 4, which is focused on reducing child mortality rates around the globe.
On Sunday, we will be having our culminating activity. So we attend Mass to thank God for our founders, to thank God for such a vibrant movement, and to celebrate together. So we have a national assembly, a national gathering on Sunday. We attend Mass at the St. Alphonsus Church at 9 o'clock. And after Mass, we will march to the convent prep grounds, where we will continue with other activities such as enrollment, performances, and a small exhibition. And this would bring to the end our celebration for Thinking Day, World Thinking Day 2013. So I must extend happy World Thinking Day to all our guides around Dominica and all our guides around the world.
Mrs. Elioy explained the origin of the Girl Guide organization.
In 1910, Lord Baden-Powell had a movement called Scouting. And the girls heard about it, I guess, through their brothers and their friends, and they decided that they want to become part of the guide movement, of the Scout movement. So they, what you would call the crash, a Scout camp. And from that day, Lord Baden-Powell saw that they were determined, and therefore asked his sister to have an organization similar to the Scouts for the girls. So on such a day, we think of the origin of guiding. We think of what a great thought it was. We also think of how strong our girls who at that time, 1910, when it would be, almost sacrilege to really be camping with boys or try to crash a camp. And these girls were so determined to share in the program that Baden-Powell was providing for the boys that they took that action.
She says this is something that all women can emulate. They have a voice and can speak out against issues affecting them. With that, she highlighted that every thinking day they focus on an issue they promote and speak against for the development of girls and women worldwide. Nearly 150 countries are members of the World Association of Girl Guides and Girl Scouts. In more news, Dominica's youth now has a greater chance of being disciplined as from Thursday, February 21st, after the official opening of the new Martial Arts Academy located in Goodwill. Sensei Black Belt 4th degree Mr. Shana Robin says he's the only sensei with the title Ranchi in Dominica at this time. The black belt that he holds is now white and red. Mr. Robin is also the instructor of Purple Dragons, which has over 40,000 members worldwide, including 50 schools. He made mention that he has been teaching karate for 12 years consistently. It was always a dream of my karate teacher that one of his students will build their own karate school, he added. Mr. Robin said his dream to establish his own karate school took him 14 years to become a reality.
So it's really an honor and a privilege to be the first person of Professor Don Jacob, the first student of Professor Don Jacob, who is the founder of the Purple Dragon system, to be able to build a karate school from foundation up. And not only that, it is the first karate school that has been built in the history of Dominica ever. And it is the first karate institution in the Caribbean as well to be built by a martial artist. You know, because every other martial artist, they are renting. And, I'm lost for words, really.
Mr. Robbins noted to be able to accomplish such a huge goal took a lot of perseverance, determination, and integrity. He informed SAT TV News that he had to remain humble despite the many obstacles and difficulties he faced pursuing his dream.
But nonetheless, it was a very wonderful moment yesterday for us at the Purple Dragon Institution, where we had a luncheon and we had the professor himself come and cut the ribbon, and the student had a wonderful time. You know, and we did some presentation to the people who actually contribute to the making of this historical moment, to be exact.
Mr. Robin believes this new institution will not just benefit the participants, but it will continue to benefit them throughout their journey in life. He says at this point they are a role model society for the children, and this foundation will be an inspiration to the less fortunate. The instructor advised the youth to follow their dreams regardless where they live or come from. He said he too came from a very modest beginning, and when the children walk into the Martial Arts Academy, they will be walking into history as well as building with determination to overcome their life challenges. Mr. Robin strongly believes that the Academy will create an environment of positivity in the children. When asked where the interest for karate developed, this is what he had to say.
I grew up really rough. I grew up fighting. I actually wanted to be an assassin, you know, because I was always fighting. I was always being abused by a lot of people, you know, big, small, always in trouble. And then I decided I was going to do martial arts so I could get revenge on people. And I started at the age of 11, you know, and now I'm in my 30s. So it was a moment of, I would say, a moment of enlightenment.
Former veteran broadcaster Mr. Ferdinand Frampton, who was ill and a patient at the Princess Margaret Hospital, passed away on the evening of Thursday, February 21st. Mr. Frampton was a very active individual who was a teacher, footballer, community activist, as well as a songwriter and producer of the Point Michelle Cultural Group, which his wife Joan Frampton heads. He worked at the Radio Dominica Broadcasting Corporation DBS as the manager, Voice of Life Radio and Q95 radio station, and is the father of former broadcaster and Limes Cooperative Communications manager Mrs. Ferdinand Frampton. Radio host and acting president of the Media Workers Association of Dominica, Mr. Mavius Peltier, who was close friend of Mr. Frampton, says he surely will be missed.
Has actually, shared a mic with Mr. Ferdinand Frampton, and I will say that his legacy will continue because he has taught us a lot. His experience was good for the business, and he will definitely be missed. And I really want to say on behalf of the media workers of Dominica, our deepest sympathies to his family and his friends. May his soul rest in peace.
Mr. Peltier stated he was introduced to Mr. Frampton when he started as a junior broadcaster at the Voice of the Islands radio station, which they both worked in the late 80s and early 90s. He accredits Mr. Frampton for teaching him a lot of the practical aspect of media work, which included the editing of tapes and the introduction of oldies music. Mr. Peltier revealed that a lot of his time in the media business was spent learning from Mr. Frampton, as he was very knowledgeable in media and was always open to disseminating his knowledge to all who was interested.
Without his input, I don't think I'll be where I am today. I never really actually wanted to be a broadcaster. In my early days, I really wanted to be a youth worker, working with young people. And from the time that I entered the door, I took the first step at the Voice of the Islands. My whole life just changed, and he was definitely an influence, in terms of passing in my life and being who I am today.
He described Mr. Frampton as a very loving and caring individual who would always make sacrifices for people, even when it put him at a disadvantage, which was a real humanitarian effort on his part. Mr. Peltier noted that his fondest memories of Mr. Frampton were the days when he would pass on the useful media information to him, especially in programming.
As a matter of fact, I was talking to a friend, and I got a BB message saying that Mr. Frampton had passed, and I was in shock because, for days now I've been planning, if you will. You always put something back. I said, I have to go see Mr. Frampton, but I'll go tomorrow. And then I'll talk to his family and they'll tell me he's doing better. And I was promised that I would go, and the day came yesterday when I never really got to see him, and I'm sort of having regrets at this time saying.
Managing Director of SAT Telecommunications, Mr. Marlon Alexander, cousin of Mr. Frampton, says he will certainly miss him as they grew up together as young boys. He said although he left Dominica for some time, when he returned their friendship resumed.
It was a terrible piece of news, in his passing. My heart goes out to Joan, his wife, Ferdinand, and Patrick, and all the other siblings of Ferdinand. From my family, the Alexander family and the Frampton family, which we are one of the same. And of course the management and staff of SAT Telecoms, our sincerest condolences to the Frampton family, and most of all Joan and his children.
Mr. Alexander revealed a number of memorable experiences shared with Mr. Frampton, one of which was long trips to the countryside where they would enjoy nature at its best. He said although they grew up together, they took different career paths, as Mr. Frampton went into the media field while he pursued electronics, but now he is directly associated with media.
The family on the whole was always very strong in education, and we all having a career. As Ferdinand, did very well at school. He excelled in most of all what he did, So we all took our own paths, but we all remained together.
Mr. Alexander added, although in the past few months they did not see each other as often, he will miss his friend and family. What began as an exclusive partnership between Mappin Telecoms and Collywood has now turned into a bitter feud. It is alleged that Collywood agreed to terms and conditions and other specifications, one of which stated Collywood had to pay Mappin Telecoms for the channel. However, Junior Hart from Collywood, an independent production company, went forward and aired its content on Mappin Channel 13 to deliver local programs from 1 year exclusively. Allegedly, 1 year later, Mr. Hart wanted to negotiate terms and conditions by making the agreement non-exclusive and charge Mappin for displaying the program on their network.
Stipulations where they wanted Collywood to actually pay for the channel, which we found a bit strange, but we went ahead anyway, with the view of later on down, a year later, the tables will turn, and then basically we would have to renegotiate terms.
He further stated that Mappin's payment would indeed help the financial situation of the production company, which has a cast of 99% Dominicans. When asked about the monthly payments that Collywood paid to Mappin, this is what he had to say.
We had to pay a monthly fee of around about, I think, $1,500 a month. Right, and then that is what we were paying for the year, and then after we came to renegotiate, they raised it to $4,000.
The Collywood entrepreneur was one of the fact that Mappin did not display interest in pleasing its customers, but was more concerned about the money-making aspect. Mr. Hart said that he is on the verge of launching a full protest to expose Mappin and letting their customers know that they are not advocates for supporting local.
A full-on protest and basically targeting Mappin's customers and telling them the truth, what's happening. Because, you know, as far as I'm concerned, it's uncalled for. We can all work together, especially the government is trying to push for people to come back into Dominica to invest in Dominica.
Mr. Hart clearly stated that he wants customers to know why Collywood has pulled out from Mappin. However, he confirmed that Collywood will be moving to a new network as soon as the technical aspect has been sorted out.
They see us on the street, you know Dominica is small, why don't you go back to Mappin? They're the ones who said you won't renew. We said no. That is the game. That's what's happening.
Okay, so we will be seeing more of Collywood.
Of course, this is it now. I mean, once now SAT TV will be having 100% Collywood program. We're now going to be sorting out the technical side, where we can actually launch Collywood TV on SAT.
Efforts to contact management of Mappin Telecoms proved futile. In more news, a number of Calypso lovers and Calypsonians alike all conveyed at the University of the West Indies Open Campus Thursday, February 21st, at an open forum discussion held by the Dominican Calypso Association. Public Relations Officer of the DCA, Mr. Daryl Bob, stated that this discussion was necessary to share with the public as it relates to the guidelines of the association. Mr. Bob says he expects the public to give their views on the Calypso 2013 season for improvements to be made to better Calypso in Dominica. President of the Dominica Calypso Association, Mr. Kelly Williams, was pleased with the mixture of the crowd. Judges, writers, Calypsonians, media personnel, and Calypso fans were in attendance. Mr. Kelly said to engage the public's opinion on Calypso, where their input can be used by the association, was necessary.
I think Calypso, somehow I get the feeling that Calypso is at the crossroads. You know, because I've been in it a long time. People like Jacko, Nuch, we have to be going old in the business because we've been here very, very long. And if we do not know what is going on or understand what it is, we will never know again. Calypso is at the crossroads because I am beginning to see certain areas of our society and aspects of our society coming into Calypso now, and it's taking a kind of a nervous trend to me, because Dominica is a country now where everything is so divided. One of the last two things that was really putting us or keeping us together was Calypso. And I want us to be very conscious of that fact. that we do not do things to Calypso that will make us regret. Because so far, over the years, politics has always been a part of Calypso, but it has always been a part of the lyrics of Calypso.
Mr. Williams mentioned politics has always been a topic used by Calypsonians. However, now that Dominica is so divided, any song on the topic seems to be a problem, mainly because of the public's political affiliations, which is threatening to the art form. He pointed out that the association needs young people who are willing and able to assist in the managing of Calypso, as the older persons have exhausted themselves since they have been doing it for such a long time. Acting Director of the UWI Open Campus Country Sites, Dr. Francis Severus stated, while Mr. Williams says Calypso is at a crossroads, he is of the view it is at the happy crossroads, as controversy, backbiting, and empathy are all academic in Calypso. Dr. Severus stated, many of the Calypsos are relevant as they shed light on what is going on in this country. However, the Calypsonians are attacked for their songs. He said the public need to attack the issues the Calypsonians are singing about.
I take the Calypsonians very seriously. I know they work very hard. This is a serious craft. You can see in what you see on the night that these fellas put their heart and their soul into it. You cannot go to judge these fellas tired, physically and mentally tired. And I say to people all the time, and I stick to it, and I am assuming other judges are like that too. I take about 2.5 hours rest in the afternoon. So when I get to the show, I am fully alert, mentally alert, physically energetic. And I am not having beer and wine and the rum and the party thing.
Dr. Francis says, if a judge or two marks a Calypsonian higher than what he or she deserves, this can cause an unfair advantage. He added, the judges need to be reasonable when they are judging to ensure their tasks are carried out in accordance with the guidelines and judging criteria of the DCA. One of the ideas he came up with is that Calypsonians, when preparing for shows, should look at the criteria they will be judged upon to make sure they try as much as possible to perfect their performances, which will give them a fair advantage.
We know our friend Caressa is the magician on stage. We know what he's capable of. I mean, he brings the show to the next level. But I'm using him as an example because when all is said and done, the coffin slides and surprises people and so on, that is confined somewhere in presentation, stage presence and performance. Now, while these may be discrete groups in order to explain them for mutual intelligibility, one can imagine that there is a certain amount of fluidity between those types, those discrete categories. But the fact is that lyrics and melody account for 70 points.
With that, he added, Calypsonians also need to pay special attention to the songs they write to gain as much points possible. Participants at the forum made a number of recommendations, some of which are voice quality should be eliminated as this is a God-given quality which varies in different people, less Calypsonians at the eliminations, and questioning judges scores when it's too high or too low to ensure fairness.
Reporting on integrity, as the good doctor said, we're talking about honesty, integrity, efficiency, and we need to be brutally honest about certain things, integrity and so on. While I applauded personally that what Hunter did, I wouldn't dwell on that for tonight because the doctor dwelled on that a lot, but I was going to say, why is I applauded what Hunter did in stepping down and what happened? Probably he's not the first person that happened to. He just happened to get caught. Okay? So it's possible he's not the first person that happened to, but he just happened to get caught. And whilst I was still clapping, my claps were baited by the fact that on the final night, the Calypso Association saw wisdom in having him sing as a guest artist. Hunter should be off the competition for the entire year. True. You see, because in other words, you're celebrating the fact that he had written things on his hand. And he also added insult to injury by composing a song, laughing and smiling that he has this written on his hand. So I just think that was just out of order. So for this year, I just think, with all respect to Hunter, he should be just totally out of the competition. Not as a guest artist, not as anything, because he earned in what he did this year. As far as
another recommendation by the public was for past Calypsonians to teach the skills they have to the youth, which should be supported by the DCA. In more news, 4 people were rushed to the Princess Margaret Hospital when a Toyota Hi-Ace bus registration number HB719 overturned at the Stock Farm, injuring the 4 occupants including the driver. Reports are that the incident occurred when the bus, while on its way to the PMH, swayed to avoid a pedestrian and lost control. Further reports indicate the bus was transporting a man to the PMH who was injured during a fight in Yampis area. The bus driver and the woman were injured, while one other man suffered a broken leg. Further information on this incident is not available at this time, but SAT TV will provide an update when more information becomes available. In more news, the test match of West Indies versus Zimbabwe was formally launched on Monday, February 22nd. President of Dominica Cricket Association, Mr. Emmanuel Nanton, says the West Indies Cricket Board has been sponsored by Digicel for a number of years. At present, he says that sponsorship is no longer in place. However, they will continue to negotiate with Digicel on future involvement with the West Indies cricket team.
We're having some very good and very cordial and some exciting negotiations. Things are coming okay. We are still friends. We are still very much involved. And we should be expecting to make some announcement to the rest of the Caribbean and to the world in the next couple of weeks. But as it is at present, the home series is the West Indies home series.
Minister for Tourism, Honorable Ian Douglas, believes this test match is in fact a tourism event. Mr. Douglas says it is an event which holds the potential for bringing visitors to our destination. He added, "We have shown the region and the entire world, although we have a small population, we are capable of hosting on an international level." He said, "For that reason, we have made ourselves ambassadors for the Commonwealth of Dominica."
First of all, I would like to thank the government, although I'm part of the government, but I'd like to thank the government and our donors of this facility, the People's Republic of China, for giving us the stadium and for allowing us the opportunity to be able to host Test cricket. Test cricket has a great reach for us in tourism. I don't believe that the amount of marketing dollars that we have available to us now in Discover Dominica and the Ministry of Tourism could be enough to place Dominica on the map that the way that Test cricket can, place Dominica on the international scene that the way that Test cricket has been placed in Dominica. And
Mr. Douglas noted, commentators in our local test matches and those from abroad is a form of encouragement for us since we are now able to host cricket matches on an international level.
The preparation of the stadium, the preparation of the overall activity for Test cricket, the layout, where the stadium is situated on the side of an active river, the landscape, the mountains, the greenery, and everything that makes Test cricket in Dominica such a great activity. And I must say that that has helped us tremendously in placing Dominica on the map and spreading the word about the nature island of the world. So we're very happy for what Test cricket has been able to do. Also on the social front, Test cricket has been a great unifier of Caribbean civilization.
Mr. Douglas says he is glad to see that Dominica and the Dominican society have been able to contribute to that in a very remarkable way. He said they do not market Dominica as a typical Caribbean destination for the sand, sea and sun. They market Dominica as the nature island of the world. This has been the local segment of the news. Coming up next, regional highlights.